Now I don't know if time and date does this anymore, but this video here, I used this total lunar eclipse footage, I think sometime in 2018, but I'm not sure. Anyhow, this is all time and date footage from different observatories from around where you could visibly see this lunar eclipse. And the good thing about it was they told you the name of the observatory and they gave you the azimuth and elevation that they were, pointing their telescope to video the lunar eclipse. And then these commentators would discuss what we're seeing. And when I saw that Israel and Santorini, Greece were 180 from what they were, that told me on the flat Earth map that that must have been the moon must have been between those 2 points. And then you had it in a different orientation from Perth and Johannesburg, and you can see the darkened areas in different uh, rotations. And all ball earthers could claim was that the telescope camera was mounted at an angle. Now, if you think that's true, I invite you to go to your local observatory, like the news footage will tell you from my local news that they invite people to come and look through their telescope. I'm pretty sure they've mounted their cameras correctly onto the telescope and not having them rotated. But I invite all of you to video it yourself. Again, if you don't have a channel and you don't want to mess with making videos, just video it with your camera level, show your setup, try to include elevation and azimuth that you're pointing your camera when you're videoing the May 15th total solar eclipse. I mean, total solar, not solar, but lunar eclipse. And send me the footage at dogplay, the number 13 at gmail.com. And I'll make a compilation in my next video when I take my footage and zoom in. I've had curveball earthers try to tell me in the past when I've videotaped I think it was the full moon, but what would be deemed by science and NASA as a waxing gibbous, because according to them, it's a waxing gibbous moon every time you see the moon rise before the sun sets in the west. Um, and therefore, the moon is not 100% full. It's always 98, 99, anything but 100%. Well, this moon, this total lunar eclipse on May 15th, 2022, happens before the sun sets. Of course, they'll scream refraction. They always have an excuse. But I invite you to go back. I've got videos and other playlists, but you can check it. The Selenian, or the lesser known name is horizontal lunar eclipse. The footage shot in New Mexico in 2011. Again, the moon is setting and disappearing, like right here, totally disappeared before as the sun is rising in the east. So the sun's rising in the east and the moon hasn't set yet, and it totally disappears. It didn't turn red, it just disappeared. And you could watch it all the way as it disappeared. Well, you know what they say when you assume, you make an ass out of, well, me in this instance. I saw this on my local news this morning, and in an effort to hurry up and get this video out, uh, knowing that it's local news and the video contains some footage from a previous video that was shadow banned and has some music in the background, I didn't want to put it up on my YouTube channel here and just have it nixed for some frivolous copyright or shadow banned altogether. So I'm making this in an effort to send you over to these other platforms to watch the video. However, I misspoke because the newscaster here in Denver gave me some misinformation. They never let the truth get in the way of a good story. They made it sound like the eclipse begins at 7:57 and I could go watch it. They invited people to go down to our local observatory to observe this. But while putting this video together on my YouTube channel, I did take the time to check MoonCalc. And in my location, the moon will not rise until about 2 hours or so after the sun has already set. So I misspoke when I called it a waxing gibbous moon phase. It is not. However, for people in England, there's some good flat earth channels over there, and people in Brazil and other locations, they would be able to see this solilian, or lesser known as the horizontal lunar eclipse, because the sun will still be visible above the horizon when the moon does rise in these locations. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see that where I'm at. But just to recap the absurdity, in 2011, this solilian or total lunar eclipse or horizontal lunar eclipse was filmed in New Mexico, as you see here, December 2011. And it disappears and never does turn blood red, it just disappears. The sun, of course, is rising in the east, and here it is setting in the west with the moon. That would make it, since in this diagram the Earth's going this way and the moon is going this way, that would have made it a waxing gibbous. And any other time it's a waxing gibbous moon, where you're located on this position on the ball Earth, according to this video. At the time and date it is being shot, they want us to claim that because it doesn't disappear until it's right here and the moon's traveling this way, that would mean that it would have been a waxing gibbous moon when the video in New Mexico was taken, with the sun rising in the east, meaning the observer must have been right about here, which means refraction would have been more than the radius of the Earth, when that would exceed the 0.52 degree maximum for refraction, making it impossible. Well, this event would be the reverse of that. So now it is actually rising in the east when the lunar eclipse is being filmed on May 15th. I will position my camera facing east to find the moon rising at around this time after the sun is set. So totally opposite horizon that I'm looking at, facing east versus 2011. And this person's filming right at sunrise when the moon is setting in the west. Given what they tell us, the moon always travels at the same speed, it doesn't change. How can this be that you would see a total lunar eclipse on one horizon in 2011, and now in 2022 we're going to face east to see this in the same location? Just another proof that what they tell you is not true. So anyway, please get this information out to anyone that's able to film this. Please include your elevation angle and azimuth, and maybe a shot of your camera being level instead of upside down, because that will be the claim of the ball earthers to debunk your proof of any rotation that I mentioned in this video. But again, you can go to my BitChute channel, my Odyssey channel, to view these videos. I'll put these links in the description here. Please share it before May 15th. And again, you can email me, dogplay, the number 13 at gmail.com, a link to any video that you shoot, and I'll put a follow-up with my video as well. Hopefully we can repeat what I've verified from time and date in this video here. Take care and happy moon watching. Poke fun at you globetards. I call you curveballers. But you got to do your own thinking. Cognitive dissonance, if you keep an open mind and think about it logically, here is Perth. This is Santorini. Or no, this is Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm sorry. Perth. Now look here. Perth, Johannesburg. And then I believe here in a little bit I'll show you Santorini, Greece, and Israel. And it's 180. So that means the moon has to be like right there. Right in between those two places that they show you. And then when you think of the moon being right there, real close to the earth, not a 250,000 miles in outer space, but close and right above, in between Santorini, Greece, and Israel, where I'll later show you in the observatory, and then Johannesburg and Perth. Makes perfect sense why it's upside down. And see, what you're commonly told about it being upside down is because it's south of the equator. But these are both south of the equator, so it should be the same. As you can see, totally different. Now you see, curveball, wake up before you burn up. Go back over here to Israel. And as I was telling you earlier, if I was correct, if that was Santorini and Israel, the moon has to be directly in between them if it was completely 180. You know what I'm saying? Again, it can't be 250,000 miles away if it was 180 degrees opposite of what you were seeing in the sky. Keep that in mind. Down here was Johannesburg. That's very odd to me that time and date live, they've got all these different camera shots from all different locations on the plane, not a planet. But they don't show you. They'll click from one to another real quick. So I paused it in my other video where they actually had it all up on the screen so that I can go into detail and show you where this is at so you can get an idea. You see that? Right there is this crater right here. This is supposedly taken from South Africa. These fellows, I don't know. I'll have to check, find out exactly where they're at. But look at Perth. We're still below the equator on the ball, so why is it 180 from these other places? This other place is south of the equator. You would expect that here in Greece, right? Because it's in the northern half of the hemisphere, so to speak, right? See why it'd be upside down? Because it's above the equator. You see the angle of it. This one here, I believe, is Johannesburg or Perth, Australia. You'll see, they'll show you the, see Johannesburg, South Africa right there. You'll see the angle. Now, figure how that could happen on the globe. It's impossible. Looking up at the sky from a flat, you would see it change like that. Makes perfect sense. It makes no sense on a ball Earth. Why would the shadow be like that? You see, it's over here in the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. That big crater's over on the top left, so it's rotated. You watch as they show you from different perspectives. The total eclipse will start in 19 minutes. Just a little part of what I call truth in plain sight. They don't even hide it from you. See from Perth? It's lit down here on the bottom from Perth. This is still in the southern hemisphere, see? So why would it be like that? Think about it. You don't think critically. It's like they said in the Truman Show. People believe what they're presented with. They don't question their reality. If you question your reality, this makes absolutely no sense if the Earth is a ball. Why it would look like this. It makes perfect sense if it's rotating above us on a flat plane. You're looking at it from different places on the Earth. You can see it at a different angle. They don't even try to hide it. They're showing it to you in real time what it looks like. Again, curveball. This is from all south of the equator, what you're looking at here. So it should be the same. Because the ball earthers say, well, from the northern hemisphere, it's rotated. So when you go to the southern hemisphere, this is, we showed you earlier on the Google Earth, Johannesburg, and now Perth, Australia. It should be the same. It should not be rotated like this. That tells you you're on a plane and this thing is close and it's orbiting above your head. This really smart guy is going to tell everybody what to think while they're watching this. There they go. They're doing propaganda. How this can happen. So this makes absolutely no sense. If you critically think about it, it makes no sense. So what I'm saying is, if you're on this ball, and you're right here in the dark side, I guess in Santorini, Greece, and you're looking at it, oh, okay. Why is it not like this in real life? Why is it totally 180? The dark line is coming this way. It's not going that way. Okay? And then why would it be if you're over here looking at it, it's 180 degrees from what it would look like if it's there? Think about that. Makes no sense. What they're telling you makes absolutely no sense. Santorini, Greece, Johannesburg, South Africa. This one here is in Greece. This one here, south of Saudi Arabia. So why is it that you just change your position on the ball Earth, not even considering the equator no more, just different spots on the ball, and you get all these different orientations of the moon. Remember, it's supposed to be 250,000 miles out. Now, where's this one? Let's switch locations again. Just going to want to slow down because I'm trying to show you some truth here. I know this is going to really warp your brain here. This is the Netherlands right here. Why are we seeing it coming off different angles? We're all on a ball, right? I don't know where they've changed this view to. Right here. So again, all in just this area, they're seeing all these different angles of the moon, which means it must be right here in reality, and it must be very close. You couldn't turn it that many different angles in just those small views. Again, this is the equator, right? So this is north of the equator, this is north of the equator, and these two are south. You burn up. Let's go over this one more time, curveball. I've got them both up here. This one here, I believe, is from Israel. This here from Greece. This here from the Netherlands. This here from South Africa somewhere. This one here, again, this was from the Netherlands. This one here, the South Africa, right? But what we got in this picture is Perth, okay? And this here is that AUE or UAE, south of Saudi Arabia, a little country. Now that you can look at all these at the same time, you got to wonder, Greece, Israel, the moon's got to be going right between those two places for it to be reversed. This is all in the northern hemisphere. Look at it in relation to the Netherlands, and then South Africa. Look at Perth. That's south of the equator. It's 180 from that. So again, must be in between these two. Can't be 250,000 miles out in space. It wouldn't do that. You moving a mere 10,000 miles on the ball Earth. It should not look that way. But this is information for people that have real eyes to discover the real lies that they show you. They put it right in your face, but then they put these so-called really smart people and all these stupid-ass graphics to try and lull you to sleep so you don't critically think about what you're seeing. There's no way you can get all these different angles of this eclipse from such a short movement on the plane. It would never happen on a ball. It's impossible. That is your proof, curveball. Finally, you can see the light. Or you'll just stay in darkness and take pleasure in unrighteousness and lies. It is not my intent to beat a dead horse here, curveball, but I do want to stress the importance of this information that I'm sharing with you here, showing that the moon must be very close. Here is the Burkett Astronomical Observatory, where we showed you in the video. See that? 628 miles. So for the moon to have done a 180 in 628 miles, that means it had to pass between these 2 points. There's no getting around it. It can't be 5 degrees off the ecliptic at 250,000 miles out in space. It would not flip. It should only flip if you're below the equator. Okay, Lucy. Got some splaining to do, Lucy. I mean, Lucifer. Look here, there's the equator. Again, the scientific explanation for why it's upside down is you're south of the equator. We're talking about Santorini, Greece, and this observatory in Israel, 620 miles apart. The moon is 180 degrees, meaning it has to be close, and it has to be in between these two for that to happen.